Can you retire on $1 million? Here's what the math shows. So times are changing. For a long time, the math was retirees were told, you need to have $1 million when you get to retirement. But over the past couple of years of massive inflation and just inflation over time, we need to revisit that number. Is that still the case? That $1 million is that target? I'm going to go over that with you. Here's going to be the answer. So, like general advice, there are some problems with that. Are we talking about $1 million in California, or are we talking about $1 million in West Virginia? The other aspect has to do with, okay, I'm 65, I got to retirement, I have $1 million. Well, how is that money being managed, and how are we spending that? You see a lot of people talk about the 4% rule and, I'm just going to spend 4 over time. There's two things to that. Okay, if you're taking out 4%, but your portfolio is incredibly risky and you have a year where you lose 20%, that could be a really big problem, because now if, say, year one, you start at $1 million, you lose 20%, you're at 800,000, but then you take out another 4%, you're going to have to make back the next year a significant amount of that. We're talking 30% in order just to get back to where you were. It's where what we call sequence of returns comes in. It's a little bit of jargon, but the concept is very important. What sequence of returns refers to, it means it's better if you're going to lose money, you want to lose money at the end rather than the beginning. Because at the beginning, you're chasing just to get back to even. Whereas if you lose 10, 15 years into retirement, you have a big loss. The other aspect of is $1 million enough goes to the initial purpose. What type of lifestyle are you trying to live? I encounter a lot of people who say, I don't really spend a lot. I spend $4,000 a month. My house is paid off. That's a key aspect of it. My house is paid off. I spend $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That's really all. In that case, 4%, that's not going to be right out. That's going to be right around the amount you need on $1 million. What also depends in that is what is your other income coming in? Because if you need $4,000 a month to live on, but you're getting $2,500 in Social Security, then okay, you don't really need to take that much from your investment portfolio. But if you need $10,000 a month, $10,000 a month, I should say, then all of a sudden, all right, well, your Social Security is $2,500. We need to get another $7,500 a month from somewhere. Taking that from the portfolio, that's a lot more than 4%. That's almost double. It's actually going to be more than double the 4% number. Now that's going to deplete the account over time, and you're banking on outsized gains in order to simply maintain the portfolio value. The problem with that is past performance does not equal future returns. Just because the past 30 years went one way does not mean the next 30 years is going to go the same way. Just because the past 100 years went one way does not mean that same period of time, next 100 years, is going to go the same exact way. That is a fallacy, and we cannot fall into that. What we can do, we can use that to get somewhat of an idea based on how the market reacts in certain economic conditions, but we don't want to assume, we're going to get 11%, because that's just not how the market works. We want to make sure we're taking that into account, especially when we are pulling more than that 4% even to survive. So if we're pulling 7 or 8% and we're saying, market's done 11, there's a number of problems with that. You don't want to ever be banking on outsized returns just to survive. That is not the scenario we ever want to be in. Right? And so that's where making it too simplistic and asking, is $1 million enough? That's not really, you have to really take into account your other scenario. But they hear in the news and the media, they hear, I need XYZ number, where the truth of the matter is it really does depend on your personal situation. So that's why we get to this situation where you could have two people who enter retirement, each of them at $1 million, and one of them runs out of money. The other one's got more money than they even know what to do with by the time they get to, let's say they live to age 100. It's because of all the things we talked about during this video. It's How does my portfolio perform at the beginning of retirement? That is massive. So I'll give an example here that I give at all my events and I talk to all my clients, and it's something to really think about. If I have $100 and I lose 20%, how much do I have? I have $80, right? So I have 100, I lost 20%, now I have 80. Now, if I gain back that 20%, so I make 20% on 80, how much do I have? I don't have 100, I have 96. So even though I lost 20 and then I made 20, my average return is technically 0, but my overall yield is negative because of the way that financial math works. On the flip side, if I make 10% on 100, that's 110. If I make another 10% on that 110, what do I have now? 120. I have 121. So now, all of a sudden, that growth really starts to compound. There's going to be a link in the comments for anybody who has questions, complimentary Zoom call. We're happy to do that for you. But if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.